discover an ancient hotspot that birthed the Great Lakes 300 million years ago. They're finally talking about the mantle plume that's under the Great Lakes. It's a horseshoe-shaped mantle plume that's been there since 900 million years. But this one here is 300 million years old. The hotspot that now lies in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean was once under the Great Lakes and may explain why they formed where they did. The Great Lakes formed where they did 20,000 years ago thanks to a hotspot that sat under the supercontinent of Pangaea 300 million years ago, before North America even existed. New research finds that the Cape Verde hotspot, which still exists under the island nation of the central Atlantic Ocean, heated and stretched the crust under the spot that would eventually become the Great Lakes. This process, which happened over tens of millions of years, led to a low spot in the topography of the region, which glaciers later scraped out during the Ice Age. After the glaciers retreated, their melt filled the lakes, which now hold 21% of the world's fresh water. It was the hotspot which made the first imprint, said Bing Li, a seismologist at the University of Houston and a co-author of the new paper, published December 25th in the journal Geophysical Research Letters. Hotspots are plumes of hot material that rise from the mantle, Earth's middle layer. When hotspots interact with the crust, they can create volcanoes such as the Hawaiian Islands, Yellowstone National Park, also formed because of a hotspot, which left a trail of volcanism through Oregon, Idaho, Montana, Nevada, and Wyoming as the North American continent crept over it. Traces of ancient hotspots are harder to detect as old volcanoes erode. However, there are two hotspots in the Atlantic today, the Great Meteor Hotspot and the Cape Verde Hotspot, that geologists know based on how the tectonic plates have moved over hundreds of millions of years and must have once been under North America. The Great Meteor Hotspot traced a line under what is now the border of Ontario and Quebec, and then cut across modern-day Vermont and New Hampshire and out into the Atlantic between 150 million and 115 million years ago. This process is confirmed by the presence of kimberlite rocks from rapid volcanic eruptions that can carry diamonds to the surface. The Cape Verde hotspot, on the other hand, had been little studied. Lee and her team were working to understand the formation of the evolution of the North American continent, where they discovered something odd in the Great Lakes region. In the crust under the lakes, earthquakes wave moved oddly, and they traveled at different velocities, going horizontally versus vertically. This phenomenon is called radial anisotropy. Usually you see this anisotropy when the lithosphere deforms significantly, Lee said. Now, when she and her team discovered these signs of deformation, they were not thinking of a hotspot, but a colleague, Johnny Wu, a geologist at the University of Houston, had been creating reconstructions of how tectonic plates moved. And he shared a video of those movements that made everything click. The Cape Verde hotspot had once been right under today's Great Lakes, and the weird quirks of how the seismic waves moved through the crust under the area lined right up with the continent's path over the hotspot. The researchers found that the hotspot sat under today's Lake Superior, that's the one that's pointing in closer to Wyoming, between about 300 million to 225 million years ago, when North America was part of Pangaea. As the continent shifted above it, the hotspot traveled through today's Lake Huron and northern Lake Erie. It then traced under west central New York State and central Maryland before hitting northern Virginia, heading out into the sea 170 million years ago. Lee and her colleagues are now extending the model westward to cover the rest of the Great Lakes region, and they're also interested in learning whether it's a general rule that large inland lakes occur in places where hotspots once sat. There are many big lakes, and also there are many hotspots, Lee said. Connecting those lake regions and ancient hotspots might reveal the way these mantle phenomena have shaped Earth's continents. This is by Stephanie Pappas on Life Science. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.